on Chop Cut Rebuild.
Our 3-day plan to finish this car up is pushing it just a little bit. We're going to have the front end all welded today and the back end's almost all locked into place.
I'm really looking forward to day 3 simply because we're going to cap the car, which means the roof's going to go on. Now it'll be a Charger when we finish, but then when Ted comes back for the next trip, it's going to make the transition into Daytona.
When I looked at the front windshield, the only issues that I seen were the screws weren't drilled yet for the cowl screen. So I knew we were gonna have to do that. At first we started using self-tapping screws, and after probably breaking 4 or 5 of them, we knew that was useless.
Once the glass was installed, it was time to move on to the door handles, latches, and the rear end of the car.
My name is Evan Bohinski, work at Red Rock Off-Road and Linex in Taylor, Michigan. I've never done door handles on a 69 Camaro before. The difference between the new door handles and these ones, the new door handles have all electronic motors in them. There's no fancy levers like on this one.
Once we got the van taped and papered and all figured out, and we knew he had to do a little bit more paper, and once that became possible, and Dan drove it into the booth for us. So our next step is going to be tape off the roof line and lower the black a little bit to give it a little more squashed look. Then we'll wipe it all down, we'll remask the entire vehicle again, then we're going to clear coat.
Welding up the body on a 1969 Charger is no big deal for the guys at the AMD Installation Center. They do it all the time, and with parts that fit this well, it's a no-brainer. The real challenge is going to be the next step, when we turn a Charger into a Daytona. That is uncharted territory. But for now, day 3 of 3, pretty much sure we can get it done.
I'm Craig Hopkins, owner of the AMD Installation Center. The object for the sheet this time was a 3-day plan on the car.
Morning, guys.
Good morning, Dan. How you doing? Good. And really revolved around getting the back end of the car up and then doing the front end, terminating with the roof.
We do the back, we do the front, and now we do the middle?
Got to meet the middle sometime.
Okay, just like dancing, you gotta go 2 steps forward and 1 back. Welcome to Dancing with the Cars.
We've got the rhythm. As far as scheduling goes, we're right on target. Well, the first thing that Wesley started on to bring the car back together was to start welding on the rockers.
I'm Wesley Kennedy and I work here at AMD Installation Center in Cleveland, Georgia. Today is our final day of the build of the car. We're going to try and get the quarters up finished all welding up and the rockers, and then lay the roof on and be done.
Well, looks good. You get the striker on already.
Yeah.
Wow, all this is spot welded? Listen, I have to go to a really big executive meeting down at AMD. They want me to go down there and take part in this thing for some reason. I don't know why. You be all right without me?
Yeah, I think I can handle it.
Okay, all right. Don't, leave too many of those clamps lying around. I'll be back as soon as I can.
All right.
Okay.
We were a couple hours into the day, and I think Dan was getting a little bored picking up clamps, and there was a meeting at the warehouse he needed to attend, so I lost him for a couple hours. There you go, Dan.
Thanks. So then I told Wesley, there's no way I can get out of this meeting. I gotta go here today. And he bought it. He's still up there welding like crazy.
How you doing?
Thanks for the burger, Mark. Hey, that looks good. Oh, nice. So you're finishing up all of that down there.
Yeah, just a few more spots.
Well, I am glad that I went to that meeting. I'll tell you, it was really important. To attend a meeting like that.
I was a little suspicious when Dan got back from this meeting, because I smelled the relish on his breath. Once I had the rockers and posts all welded up, then it was time to prep the roof area. Dan and I got Cesar and Craig to come help us get the roof set up into position.
My name is Cesar Briseño, and I'm a technician at AMD Installation Center.
When you're positioning a roof, it's pretty common to clamp it down, let it loose, move it a hair, clamp it down again. It's just part of the process.
Oh, you got the spot welder all set, ready to go, huh?
Yes,
So what do you need me to do?
absolutely nothing.
Perfect. I do that kind of work all day.
The thing about the welder is that it gets a little heavy after you start using, especially being higher on a level. It's a little heavier to carry it to the top. And since I'm a little younger, you know, I have to have a little muscle going through there.
The roof install is always about a 1-hour job just for the weld up. A lot of prep goes in before that. We used Jim on the inside of the car to help the spot welder, and then he just decided to hang out and hold the cord, which was cool.
My name is Jim Price. I work for AMD Installations, and I'm a technician.
I get a question all the time. Are you over welding the car, under welding the car? What we're trying to do is duplicate what the factory did. The engineers had designed so many spot welds in a certain area to carry a load. That's what we're duplicating. So I would say we're right on target.
Working on this charger is pretty exciting for me because we really don't have a lot of chances and opportunities to work with these kind of cars. There's a true Daytona. So I'm very excited to see the whole car finished up afterwards.
This portion of Chop Cut Rebuild is presented by Wyotech. Make your passion your career. Turn pro at Wyotech.
They got the exact same thing. Yeah, 150. That's ours. It looks smaller when it's white, doesn't it? Yeah, it sure does. Are you Jack?
Sir.
Hey, how are you? Dan Liz.
Nice to meet you. Jack. My name is Jack Ambrose, and I'm R&D over at Gibson Performance.
So is that the factory system?
Yes, sir. That's the factory system right there.
Okay, so that's out and gone.
Yep. Torn apart. Right. When Dan Woods came in from Chop Cut Rebuild, I was just finishing dropping the exhaust. This was a project that Wyotech was doing for SEMA, and they asked me to go ahead and make a cosmetic piece.
So we're going to run an exterior visible pipe down the side, right?
Yes.
My name is Harry Wyman. I work for Zenith Education Group with the Wyotech Group, and I take care of promotions and events. I have an association with a past graduate, Rory Connell. He invited us to come out to Corona, California to Gibson Exhaust, where he's the sales manager.
Oh, and it's that's huge.
Yeah. Rory, we wanted people to see it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and mount it somewhere around here. The exhaust that I'm putting in is actually going to come into this tube, so it looks like this is being used without it actually being used.
Down at the very end?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's see what you're going to use for the inside.
I think that the factory exhaust that's on the Transit already is in good shape, but it is very restrictive when it comes to sound. When you reduce noise, you're also reducing performance because you're restricting the flow, you're restricting the muffler, you're restricting it with the resonator.
So you're going to leave the factory system up to this point?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing I'm going to do is just do a replacement flange and then go from here all the way up to like right here,
okay,
which is where the muffler is going to sit.
Right.
After the factory exhaust was out, what we did was lock up our flange to make sure it was the right one. Originally, we were going to go from the head pipe forward, but what I noticed was that the flange was a little bit smaller, so I made the decision that it was probably best to just reuse the head pipe from the exhaust. After reusing that stock head pipe, what we did was that we mocked up the Gibson muffler and held it up there to make sure everything else fit. The muffler is a 16-inch muffler. It's a 3-inch single in, 2.25 dual out, and it basically is going to Y our path into being able to go from one side to the other. The part is strictly cosmetic until it reaches that last portion by the tire where I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole to tie in the exhaust to the exit.
This pipe is coming here and it's going to go in and blend into that big.
Yes, to the aesthetic.
So there's going to be a little bit of functionality in the aesthetic.
Yes.
At the very end.
Once the muffler was in place, we routed the tailpipes.
When we talked about it, I originally thought we were bringing the exhaust into the front of the pipe, but Gibson had a better idea. Really, I thought it was a brilliant idea. They decided to bring the exhaust out through the rear tips.
Because the exhaust is more on the passenger side of the vehicle, I wasn't able to mirror the tailpipes, so one exited right behind the tire and the other one I had to go over the diff and to where I wanted to route it.
When the exhaust is completed, it will be sent to Wildtech in Blairsville so we can install it on the van, ahead of time. The side pipes at that point will go to the polisher here in Corona, and once they're done, they'll be shipped to Blairsville.
Here, Harry, take this. It's really not heavy at all. It's quite light. Okay, so that's going to go there.
Yes, sir.
Purely cosmetic. No heat in here at all.
No heat.
Just hang in there, and then down here, you're going to cut this off?
Yes, I'm going to cut it so it looks like a tip.
Okay.
And it's going to function as a tip. I'm going to drill a hole behind it. The exhaust is going to travel through the tailpipe, and it's going to come out that side.
Perfect. So this is really just temporary and cosmetics. It's only there for the looks. Like this.
This portion of Chop Cut Rebuild is brought to you by AMD, Auto Metal Direct. The name says it all. You're watching Chop Cut Rebuild.
There's three things you want to get out of a custom exhaust installation: improved aesthetics, improved sound, and improved horsepower. The thing is, with today's modern vehicles, there's not a lot of horsepower to improve on. There is some hidden there, though, and the guys at SCT Bully Dog know how to find it. Morning, guys.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Good, Johnny. How are you?
Great, great. This is Brent Lundquist, our training instructor for SCTU.
Hi, Dan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Aaron?
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Good. Nice to see you.
My name is Aaron Walliser. I'm a high-performance powertrains instructor at Wildtech in Blairsville. So when Dan came to the school today, we just had gotten the Wildtech van on the dyno, all strapped down, ready to make its first run to see where we were starting at for the day, and just a general health check of the vehicle.
So what are these monitors?
So this one's our DynoJet software,
okay,
and then that's the software that Brett has provided.
My name is Brett Lundquist, and I'm the training instructor at SCT. Yep, this is SCT Advantage 3, our custom tuning software. We're going to use this to make some modifications to the tune file. Our partners at Wildtech asked us to come down and do some custom tuning on a project van they have for SEMA. One of the first things I need to do is data log the vehicle stock, running it with just the stock tune on it, and finding out where the horsepower and torque is at.
We developed the relationship with SCT Bully Dog to show students a real-world application and a real-world software that they may eventually use when they go out in the industry to become professional tuners.
So stock, we expect somewhere around 300 horsepower and about 380 foot-pounds of torque at the crank, and it fell in right around 270 horsepower, about 350 foot-pounds of torque.
Going into this, we knew the van was going to be a pretty high-performing vehicle because it has a twin-turbo V6 in it. It's got a really good engine, despite it just being a transit van.
After the first pass, we decided to make some changes. We wanted to go ahead and bring in the fueling a little bit sooner, remove some torque limits.
So you're just taking caps off of things?
Yes, we're removing some limiters and taking away some what I call nannies in the system.
So this won't necessarily increase horsepower?
It may or may not. I'm not really sure. This is more of a safety check so I can get the fueling where I want it before I start adding things like boost and timing.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. Go ahead, do your stuff.
With the second pass, we've made some software changes to add safety in preparation for adding more cylinder pressure and more power. Wanted to make sure we had a nice safety margin, not damage the vehicle when we tried to add power.
Surprisingly, there's a lot of room left in most of the vehicles that you drive these days. This is a 3.5 liter EcoBoost, but it's in a Ford Transit, a simple delivery van. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a race car, it could be a grocery getter. Most of the time there is room left on the table.
So these are your first two runs on the screen there, right?
Yeah, the blue line here is our stock run, and the red line is going to be our last run that we just did.
Okay.
Made about 273 and 285 on the next run, so we did pick up a little power, but nothing crazy.
Okay. So now is when you're really going to start tuning?
Yeah, now we've done our sanity checks. Now we're going to start adding things like boost. We're going to start adding some ignition timing. We're going to go ahead and remove some more torque limits and raise those out of the way. And we should start seeing some real gains.
Do you increase the amount of air coming in?
Absolutely. An engine is a big air pump. And we've got 2 turbos already on the vehicle, stock and factory form. We're going to ask for a little bit more out of those. That's going to make a lot more power.
Let's make more power.
All right.
My name is Johnny Johnson. I'm dealer account manager for SCT and Bully Dog. Once we knew we had the opportunity to work on this new EcoBoost platform on the Transit with the students, job cut rebuild, and do this build for SEMA and get it out there for the biggest show of the year, we were super excited.
Hey, we got numbers, guys. Come on. Okay, all right. Is it Christmas?
Well, we didn't get exactly as much as we wanted. However, we did get some gains. Right now, unfortunately, the octane's being a bit of a limiting factor for us. We've got about 89 octane in the tank. We really could use something like 93. Okay. But we still end up with about 27 horsepower and about 30 foot-pounds of torque all under the curve.
27 horse, 30 pounds. That's
yeah.
good.
This is all power you're going to feel. This is pretty darn good for the octane that's there. Higher octane allows more ignition advance as well as higher boost levels, and that would have picked up a lot of power.
Now that SCT Bully Dog has tuned us up, we've got enough horsepower to make these Diamondback Reds and that rocket wheel go round and round real fast.
On the next Chop Cut Rebuild.